Hi classmates, this is Megan Fessler from American Revolution, Liberty University, and this is for the second discussion board discussing women in the Revolutionary Era. In the document that we had to read, How Betsy Ross Became Famous by Laurel Thatcher Ulrich, at the very end, it asks, if the story of Betsy Ross didn't exist, do you think women of some other profession would have filled the shoes of a female revolutionary representative? And I do think that if Betsy Ross' story or Betsy Ross never existed, I do think women in other professions would have stood up in the Revolutionary Era. Women like Phillis Wheatley. Phillis Wheatley was a poet, and in the document by Antonio Bly, An Impartial Savior, Religious Pluralism in the Age of Revolution, he talks about how she came to America in the 1760s as a 7 or 8-year-old girl, and the Whitley family was one who caught their eye. They were Congregationalists, and unlike majority of the slaves in America at this time, she learned how to read and write. And eventually she would become a published poet and very well liked. In the article by Charles Akers, Our Modern Egyptians, Phillis Wheatley and the Whig Campaign Against Slavery in the Revolutionary Boston. This talks about how she became a little bit more popular in her writings. This states that she was able to actually publish her poems, and one of the questions that Laurel Thatcher asks, how important was it to have a famous female from the American Revolution? I think it is very important as a woman to know that women had a say in standing up against things during the Revolutionary period. That I think that women were there too. It wasn't just men fighting for their freedom, that women were there too. And then in another document by Philip Richards, his article is called Phillis Wheatley and Literary Americanization. He talks about that Phillis Wheatley had little attention brought to her in her poems, and I do think if Betsy Ross' story did not exist, that Phillis Wheatley would have been able to stand up, and if African Americans and their writings were accepted more at that time, I do think that she would have been able to step up and become a female revolutionary during this time. Laurel Thatcher asks, does the actual person still hold importance in famous icon? I do think that she holds importance. I think that it is important to know that there were people out there talking about what happened to African Americans during this time, and that it was being published. Thank you for listening. Bye.